Greetings. Greetings and peace. I've already tried a couple takes of starting this video, and I'm just gonna roll with how this one goes. I'm here in the Aubergine, this amazing time and space travel vessel, as some of you know. And we are currently landed in Bulbancha, the land of many tongues. I hear the wind picking up a little. I hear the birds singing. The leaves of the elephant ear plant are moving gently with the breeze. So is the mint. So is the amaranth. Lavender. Bugs are buzzing, as they do in this ecosystem. And in this moment, I am reflecting on doing and being. And I intentionally didn't say doing versus being. I have been occasionally attending a men's group called Black Men Build here in Bulbancha that I found very nourishing and very inspiring. And there is a brother there who said, we're meant to be human beings, not human doings. I don't know if that was an original quote of his or something in the collective, but it's something that I really resonated with and that has stayed with me. It stayed with me through this chapter, through this season. I've been saying that to myself a lot, reflecting on that. And just now I was thinking of many things, having a very powerful conversation over the telephone with a family member of mine that is bringing up a lot of thought and emotion. And I was reflecting on some of my travels, and I was thinking about when I was maybe in, circa 2016 AD, 2017 in southern India, in Kerala specifically. And I was thinking of a conversation I was having with a man there who was basically asking me, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're like an American young person with some money who's just like traveling, and which is cool. But he's like, and I guess I would say this conversation, the meaning of it was more energetic and psychic more than verbal of what he was saying. And that we were speaking in English, and he was speaking English as a second language for me, which I was grateful for. And it struck me deeply. What am I doing? Because he's talking about, he asked that after asking about my family and just, and at that time, to be honest, I'm like, well, I'm not really super intimately connected with my family. And I said, well, what about, your people back home? Or, are you trying to go to school, like become something? Or like, what are you doing? And I was like, why am I having such a hard time answering this question? I was like, I think that's part of why I'm here. And I appreciate that y'all have a culture of the sadhus who are nomadic spiritual people, some of them for their entire life, some of them for just a period of time. And that's what they're doing. But that question it was a deeply energetic question. And it was one that begs a person to know their purpose. Because someone who knows their purpose of why they came to be, they're not challenged by that question. Their heart doesn't start to race. What am I doing? They're like, oh, well, I'm here to create beauty in the world. I'm a musician, and I've always felt drawn to that art form and many different styles, and that's something that I share with people everywhere I go. So even if I did nothing but clap on beat and sing a little song everywhere I go, I would be doing that. I'd be doing that. So just being in touch with your innate purpose, with our innate purposes. This is a huge cornerstone of so much indigenous ritual technology that just exists to make space for a person to have an experience that puts them in touch with their purpose. It puts them in touch with why they came here and reminds them. And then they can come forward and, this is in a very broad, generalized sense, but maybe then they come forward and are able to speak to the tribe with more power as an adult. This is who I am. All of that is so important. So yes, it was an initiatory question in a way for him to be like, what are you doing? And for that to make me, why is this so hard to answer? For that to make me react was very telling. So an echo of that question was coming up again recently. And coming up also in response to, as I mentioned, this conversation I'm having with this family member. But this time, so easy for me to answer, which I'm grateful for. This time it was like, oh, well. And I was thinking of the doing versus being and how powerful that was as well, as even a verbal shield there. To be like, well, first of all, what am I doing? Life is not about doing, not even half as much as it's about being. They're not even 50-50, I don't think. I personally don't think. If I had to give them numbers, it's like 70-30. 70% being, 30% doing is good numbers. That's what we like to see that. And so then I was thinking, the doing that I do now is to make space for being. So I do things that allow people to just be. And that looks like building community and gardens and outdoor kitchens that people can just walk up to and create a meal for themselves. It looks like having a fire. It looks like building a home. All these simple ancestral skills that many people in my generation are committing to relearning. Because many in the generations before us relearned but maybe fell off the bandwagon. I see that our people are committing to the relearning and knowing that we may have no other choice but to quickly remember the ways of our ancestors. So I feel like that's the channel. That's the channel today. That's and feeling complete in that it plays into exactly what I'm speaking about. Because later in the day, if by chance the part of my mind arises that's like, what am I doing today? What am I doing? I gotta do something. Be busy. Be productive. It's nice to then reflect in those moments on what you've done so far today. And then sometimes it makes sense where I'm like, I see why I didn't do anything all day today. Because in the first 3 hours after I woke up today, I had this whole conversation and this whole thing happened, and I was reflecting, and then I finally cleared out that clutter, and then I just laid down and chilled, and then 5 hours later, I'm wondering if I've done anything. So, for some of us, it's really just taking time to give ourselves credit for the seemingly small victories. Small and big are illusions. Everything is significant. Everything is significant, whether it's small or big. And if you want to learn that lesson very experientially, then simply witness nature and witness the insects and witness the cells in your body. And we can understand that small and big doesn't matter when it comes to significance. So if you do something small in your day, good for you. Good for you. Alright, friends, that's the channel for the day. Sending love from Bulbancha, sending love from my heart to yours, and we'll see you soon.